High level, I think most brands don't know how to tell their own story. Most people in the company don't know the brand story. And I think when you actually like really think about how you're impacting the consumer that you're impacting, you got to look at what are they struggling with? What are their pain points? What are the ways that we're helping with those? And like link those two things. Most people would pin their highest viewed video, but the challenge with that is if you pin your highest viewed video and then you're not popping anymore, I think it actually looks bad for you. So I actually think what a better idea is like pin 3 like really informational things that you want people. It's like 3 at-bats for people to get to know you. Who I am, what I do, how I can help you, where you can find us, my newest products, to kind of like revamp your account. Answer number 1 is always try new things at a very high volume. Most people are not willing to go back to the drawing board and test new things, whether that's ego, insecurity, worry, brand deals, monetization, whatever it is. I really believe that you should always be testing and having a certain percentage of your content that is just like, we got to fuck around and try new shit. I think most people get caught up in like what's working for like the world rather than like what's natural to you. Find the ways for that to work. You'll be able to move with speed. If I can get the same amount of views on my video and traction on my video that's shot on an iPhone and took me 25 minutes to film the whole thing and be done and post it, the same traction that somebody gets that's been filming for a week, has a studio, has cinema, all that, to me, I'm like, dude, this business is gonna be absurd because of the amount that I'm gonna be able to do. Find something that allows it to be stable, because the way that your audience and you will build the best relationship is by it not being transactional.
The one-handed crack, JT, your last score was a 6.2 out of 10, and you also dented the shit out of it. I didn't even dock you below a 5. I went and watched the replay the other day. So the rules for it, I need you to be off the table before you engage, and then it's one hand, and I did a baby little dent.
What was that?
That wasn't good. I'm going to give myself a 4.9 because I did dent it, okay? I want you, though, to do it better than that. One hand off the table, now engage it.
Nice.
Oh, I think
Put it back.
You dented the shit out of it.
I don't even want to show you this.
You dented it again.
I don't even want to show you this, bro.
Oh my God. We got Mars on the table, dude.
No.
We got a light 3.9 from JT. Moment was way too big.
Okay.
Dude, I can.
Is there something? Is there a chance that these cans are easier to dent?
These honest, like if you feel
like this looks like I would not have dented.
A little sturdier.
Dude, I can't do the.
Did you dent it? Look at his back.
No, I know.
He dented this one.
That's the worst one I've ever seen.
I don't know if I've ever actually gotten over. I don't know if I've ever gone over like a 5.
I'm gonna pop this back out.
Pop it back out. Pop it back out for us.
On the logo too.
Oh God! Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Super good to see you. Super good to have you on again.
I like how you made eye contact. You got to make eye contact when you cheers.
You have to.
Mm-hmm. Kiss on the cheek after.
Oh.
Dude, so last time we were here, we had an agency that you were building. You were in the beginning phases of building an agency, and I believe that you were telling us that we had these creators that you were finding, and most of it was for UGC. So that means, for those that don't know, these are user-generated content. We had creators that JT was finding, and these brands would kind of 1099 them, have them for like 5, 10 videos, and that would kind of be it for them. And now we're seeing these brands get on board with hiring them full-time, using them in-house at their companies. I kind of want to talk about how it's changed, how your business has changed in this last year, and what you kind of see these brands catching on to.
Hell yeah. Okay, so just for clarity, when we were hiring people before, it wasn't necessarily UGC. Like what I think of when I think of UGC is like somebody that's getting paid $50 a video to just do something that is like, it could be an unboxing or very, very, very light lift. We were hiring people the goal of it was for them to run the brand's account, like actually like make content every single day. The difference between then and now was the actual content that could perform could be something like UGC style. Like you could do an unboxing video on TikTok 3 years ago and it get 50,000 views. Whereas now it's just a lot harder to get traction. As you guys know, there's more people doing it. So the creators that we're finding now, we still are, that still is a tier of people that we are recruiting, is like the entry level, like they can do unboxings, they can put the vibe of a personality out there. But brands are more heavily looking for really talented creators to come in and actually make content for them. So that is something we're doing, and yeah, happy to talk about it. Very excited. Think it's a really cool time for creators because I think it's a hard time, just macro economy, for people to make money, just literally in general. But like, let alone creator economy has really taken a dive in the past couple of years. When I was on the show the last time, it was probably at like around the peak of macro creator economy investments and all of that. So it's harder right now to start a business as a creator, but this is such a great option for people that do have talent, have built a little bit of an audience, but aren't able to go all in with just brand deals and completely rely solely on brand deals. The option that we are seeing more and more is these brands don't know how to make content. So like hiring somebody that is good at building an audience and really paying them like what they deserve is now becoming a thing.
And I mean, we were talking about this the other night. If you go on a brand's page, 98, maybe even 99% of them, you don't feel anything from it. It's like really good product photography and maybe a couple of cool videos, but you're like, what else is here? You know, so do you think that when they add these creators into their arsenal, that it almost humanizes the brand and kind of adds a new layer of depth that we previously haven't seen?
It can do whatever the brand is looking for. So yes, some brands are like, look, we literally just don't have any sort of personality other than this static photography, and we just need somebody to come in and just give off a vibe of who we are. So just go and find us somebody that literally is in our demographic. They don't even need to be talented at creating. We just need some human being in the content that can give off the vibe that we want to represent. That's one area. We also, what I think even more so is brands are like, we actually need somebody that's talented that can build the audience for us and also be giving off that vibe. So I do think that, yeah, a lot of people are just posting photos. Some people like that though. Like you got to meet the consumer where they're at. What I try to offer is the other side of the coin. Like I'm not doing any stuff. I don't offer static photography. I don't offer really anything that's super highly produced or super highly edited and like cinematic. What we're looking for is, I do think there's another side of the coin that rounds out the brand. And so I think a creator that comes in and can do that is a way that really helps the brand succeed on social.
And an example of that you were telling us is Set Active. And they threw a good amount of money at a creator, brought him in-house. Can you explain a little bit about what they did? And you've been using them as your case study, is that correct?
I've just been using them because they're having a lot of success right now.
Gotcha.
So it's a good one to point to. So Set Active went and hired a creator who had over 1 million followers on his own account, was making his own style of content. Set Active had posted a job description of like, we want a creator to come in and make content for us daily. I believe the salary was somewhere between $80,000 to $90,000. Could be a W-2 employee, could also be 1099 contractor. I actually probably think that it's a 1099 contract. I don't think there's any reason it needs to be a full-time employee, but like full-time in the sense of you're making content consistently for the brand and you're helping them, like you're part of the team. They hired this guy. He came in and I would say pretty much off the bat just started crushing it for the brand account. He's filming in the office with them. He's able to do a variety of different styles. He's talking into the camera. He's showing the products. He's interviewing people on the team. He's telling little bits of the story of how they're launching things. And unanimously around the consumer brand world, like a lot of people are talking about Set Active's content. And when people are talking to us about like, you can find us a creator, now a lot of them are mentioning, this is why I use it as a case study. A lot of them are mentioning, can you find us somebody like Set Active? For me, the way I look at it is, if you want somebody of that caliber, I think that is a higher caliber creator that deserves something like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month. So that's what I think brands are now realizing, that they're like, oh shoot, we can go like lower entry point and hire somebody for like 3,000. That's probably the starting point. $3,000 a month for like 15 videos, but it's not going to be somebody that you can't have the expectation of them changing your brand's account and like building you a community. Whereas somebody like, I think the dude's name's Sam, somebody like Sam that you go to that has an audience that you're looking at his account and you're like, he's done it. He like has built an audience. You can see his community's engaged. There's no like questioning of like, oh, is he going to be able to come in and do this for us? Or like, does he have the chops to be able to do this? Bringing in somebody like that, yeah, you're paying a little bit more, but you also are setting yourself up a lot more for success. The same way that I look at it is like, you going and hiring somebody that's a beast at sales or a beast at operations and has proven it before. I just think that this is going to happen more and more because when you're a company, you don't know, most companies don't know what to do with content. Like they just have no idea. So the first thing they go to is an agency, but agencies are hard because agencies are typically built on scale, built on taking on multiple clients.
Then they're going to outsource it.
And it's not even a bad thing. I think it's a smart play for agencies. Yeah. But I think the second option that companies are going to do is going to be like, we're going to go to creators. How do we find those creators? And I think most are lost with that.
When you're looking at creators that are going to be a good fit for these brands, you can see a creator that's done it well for themselves, but building a personal brand and then making content for a brand that isn't a personal brand, just a regular brand, they're similar but different. So how do you, I guess, gauge if a creator has been able to have success themselves? How do you gauge if that will translate to the brand?
We look for very similar styles that will have overlap with the brand. So we're looking for somebody that's in a similar demographic that the brand's trying to appeal to, and that they're going to make a similar style on the brand's account that they're making on their personal. Like for example, I actually don't even know exactly what Sam's content was on his account before he went and did it on Set Active. But if I was looking at Sam's account and he was doing like get ready with me's and like try on hauls and like clothing focused things, and that was having success, I would look at him and be like, do this same style, just do it with our clothes and with our like day of like how we run as a company. I wouldn't go to him and be like, hey, you've never done a man on the street interview, but like that's what we want you to do for us. Or you've never shot on like a cinematic camera, but we want you to change. I'm looking for, I want somebody to be the exact way that they're doing it, has a proven track record of crushing it in that style. Just come and do the same thing for us and like integrate our product into it. That's the way I think they should go about it.
I mean, I think it's something that I see is the future of it. And even with Sam, it feels like you have a man on the inside. As like a spectator on TikTok, you're watching this and he's like, yo, let's pack the goodie bag orders. And he like threw an extra one. I was looking at the stuff last night. He like threw an extra pair of leggings in this girl's order and they're like, let's fucking go, Sam. Like,
that's cool.
Thanks for sending this through. And I mean, I just see that being the future with the brands that you're working with right now, that they come to you and they're like, hey, can you take a look at our socials and kind of help us understand what we're not doing? What do you feel, besides adding a creator into their brand, what else do you feel like they're missing from a brand's perspective?
High level, I think most brands don't know how to tell their own story. Most people in the company don't know the brand story. It's very interesting for me. The more time that we're spending with brands, the founder knows the story, but like I would even say a lot of the C-level people in companies don't know like the actual like stories of how the brand got to where they are, the things they've had to overcome to get there, how they really are impacting their customer. So majority of the time that we're doing, aside from us like recruiting, is in the strategy side. A lot of it is just me sitting with the founder or the VP of marketing or the CMO or whoever, and just getting like really clear on like how are you sharing this with the world? Because like a lot of people look at the ingredients or like the price point or like the branding, but like most of those things are just information. They're not like pulling on somebody's emotions. And I think when you actually like really think about how you're impacting the consumer that you're impacting, you got to look at what are they struggling with? What are their pain points? What are the ways that we're helping with those? And like link those two things. So I would say what most companies need a real help with is like telling their story in a way that the audience will resonate with, and that will like immediately impact the business.
And does that look like this 1 minute founder story video where it's like introducing the team, introducing the founder, and like why they exist? I saw a great example that you made for, was it an alcohol company the other day? We were chatting about it, right? Was it
Juneshine?
Juneshine, yes.
Juneshine. I think that's the meat. That's like the thing that's happening right now. The way that I look at it is kind of like, what are people consuming and how do we meet them there? So if people were like, if everybody was watching 10-minute videos on brands, I'd be like, we got to start filming these 10-minute storytelling videos on brands. It just seems like historically in the last couple of years, the 1 minute or 90 seconds where it starts like some sort of like, this is the crazy story of how we built this, or I was really going through X, Y, and Z, and so I needed to do this. It seems like people like watching those. So those are what we were creating. You can also do that in a carousel format. You can do that in a single photo. You can do that in a written format on LinkedIn. You can do that in a lot of different formats. I think it's just like meeting people where they're at.
And are the brands running these as ads as well?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. They're the highest converting ads all the time. And we're not even pitching that. Wow. Usually we're just like, this is going to be organic. Pin it to the top of your account, because when people come on your account and they see the bio, but then they see the pinned video of like who we are, most people click on that, and that's how they get the most information rather than going to your website. So like, just pin the video, think that that's smart, but then the brand will run it as an ad, and they're like, yo, we've never seen something convert like this. I don't know the exact reason why, but it seems to work. So yeah, we like running with that.
Something you do on your social is at the top, you have that pinned video of like, this is who I am, this is what I do. And I was telling Braden, like, we need to make a video like that of like, if someone stumbles across the 505 podcast Instagram, we have one of the pinned videos being like, this is who we are, this is what the podcast is about, these are some of the guests that we've had on, and this is what you can expect if you tune in.
Yeah, dude, I just think about, a lot of the times I ask myself, like, how am I consuming? Like, what's my roadmap? I click on this. Where do I go? Do I scroll all the way to the bottom? Am I clicking on the website? Am I going to the story? Am I going on a highlight? And I think I just found myself when somebody pinned a video, clicking on the pinned videos. As soon as they like launched that feature on TikTok, I started like clicking on the pinned videos. Most people would pin their highest viewed video. But the challenge with that is if you pin your highest viewed video and then you're not popping anymore, I think it actually looks bad for you, because then you scroll down and you're like, wait, this person literally just pinned their highlight reels.
Homie fell off.
Exactly. And now they've fallen off. So I actually think what a better idea is like pin 3 like really informational things that you want people. It's like 3 at-bats for people to get to know you. Who I am, what I do, how I can help you, where you can find us, my newest products, whatever it is. I think it's smart.
When you're pairing these brands with creators, how does the business side of it work for you? Are you always consulting for those brands as well and finding them a creator? Is there a time where a brand comes to you, they're just looking for a creator, and then do you take like a finder's fee?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Most of the times we're not consulting with the brands. Most of the times it's a brand that has either seen my content. We've never done any outbound at all. So we've never like reached out.
It's crazy.
All of the clients we've worked with have come through my own content or through word of mouth. Brand comes to us, says, hey, we noticed that we need a creator. We've seen some of your videos. Let's get on a call. Once we get on a call with them, the first thing for us is like getting really clear on who is the creator. Who do you want? Give us examples of other styles of creators that you like. Give us the demographic. Give us everything that we can know about this person, like in the most specific way. From there, we go and we actually post it to, I have a texting community. I have a community. It's hosted on Notion, but like I have it over text as well. So we'll try to reach out to that community. Then we will post it to my socials, so anybody that's not in the community that sees it can apply. And then we also will do manual outreach to people. If I'm like, oh, no, we didn't get the right people that we wanted to apply, we'll like go and like manually search. We go through interview processes. We get sample content from them. Like we're really like vetting them, and like it's a full like recruiting process. So like we're on interviews with the brand, with the creator, asking questions like literally like you would a job interview. And then after everything is done, our company never takes any money from creator. So we don't manage the creators. We're not an agency where we're like taking a cut out of them. It's not a brand deal. We like want them to go and like succeed and like rip this brand for as long as possible. The brand pays us a 30% finder's fee off of what their budget is for the creator if you were to annualize it. So like whatever they want to, they get to choose what they want to pay the creator to. And that's what we post very transparently in the job posting. If you want to hire a creator for the Stan one that we're doing right now, they're paying $10,000 a month. We're posting that in the job application because I believe that's, you can't be deceitful about it and be like, we want a creator, and then them get on an interview with you and it be like, we're offering $50 a video. It's like, I'm trying to find people that are legit. I want it to be a bullseye for the brand, and I want the creator to feel like they're energized for it, and that the brand gets real great work from the creator. The only way to do that is to pay fairly. So brand tells us what they want to pay. We post that. We get people to apply to it that are stoked on that price point. And then whatever the brand has chosen for that budget, we annualize that, like multiply it by 12, and we take a one-time fee of 30% of that.
And then they're off to the races.
And then they're off to the races, and like they get to work. And like we give a list of 20 creators. We pick our top selects. Like these are the ones that we think fit the criteria that you're looking for. The brand can do whatever they want with that list. Out of the list that we give them, they pay us for one person. If they end up hiring 20 of them, cool. I'm even more stoked. If they end up hiring 5 of them full-time as W-2 employees, awesome. But they just pay us for one person.
When does a creator know that it's a good idea to potentially do something like this? Like they're making content for themselves. Maybe they're not meeting their monthly goals, or they want a little bit of extra cash. Like how would you say, if you go and consult with someone and you're talking with them on an interview, how do you know if it's a good fit for them to go in-house at a brand?
I think that you get there by 2 ways. Typically it's a creator that has had success, like in terms of building a community, but just isn't getting consistent brand deals. Like brand deals are very inconsistent. Even like I've had the best relationships with some companies, had long-term deals, and at the end of it, we're in like a fantastic spot, but they're just like, look, dude, things have shifted for our company. We can't keep going. It's nothing about you. It's nothing about the content. It's just our marketing has changed. Dang. So I think it's a very like, you just can't rely on, I wouldn't rely on that. Some people do. I wouldn't rely on just doing brand deals. So a lot of the creators that come to us are like, yo, I've monetized, I've done brand deals. I actually am making decent money, but it's just not stable enough for me. And I would love to find something that's more stable that doesn't pull me away from creating and like put me in like a full-time job. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Second one is people that are crushing it, are really stoked, are doing really well, probably are doing well financially, and are just like, look, I got more room to take on more work, and I love this brand, and I know I'll crush it for them. I'm already a consumer of them. I'm already like wearing it. I know I know their story, and it's just like very seamless for them. And they're like, I would absolutely crush this. I actually think that those are even better finds, but it's a mix of those two typically.
If a brand doesn't have the budget to bring somebody in-house, what advice can you give for them to take their content from where it is right now to maybe taking it to maybe not, you know, the whole next level, because that I feel like would require to bring a creator in-house. What is something a brand can do to maybe shift their content a little bit and take it up a notch just a little bit if they don't have a crazy budget? Maybe they have like $1,000 to $2,000 a month in marketing spend that they're willing to put towards, you know, content.
A lot of the times what you're paying for with budget is just to save yourself time and energy. That's like a majority of what you're paying for: time, energy, and expertise. So if you don't have the money, go and invest your time and energy. Like literally, like what most creators, it's free. You can go and learn all of this. You can go and create all of this. You have an iPhone, you can do it. It's just most brands don't want to go put in the time and energy. I'll tell you this, if you have no budget, but you have a full day and you're like, I need to make this work, but I don't have money, go and listen to all of the videos that I make. Go and search other social media people that are giving you tips, and go and start making videos on an alias account that nobody knows about, and get better at the craft and do it yourself, because you can do it. Like most of the founders that we were starting with the early days, like they were like, I'm going to dedicate my time and energy to this. Look at So Sake. Mm-hmm. They had like a bunch of stuff happen with the business and going into retail that ended up with them not continuing on. But like in terms of their content, this is a founder that literally had never filmed anything before in his life, didn't want to do it, had no interest. I made the first video for him, and then he was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and dedicate my time and energy to it. It ended up getting them into Walmart because they had popped off so much on TikTok that they were like, Walmart was like, we're interested in this product.
Those spacesuits, man.
The spacesuits, and they became legitimate creators.
Yeah.
Like Mike, who is the founder, he dedicated his time and energy. He was like, I am going to sit in my room and learn how to edit and learn how to create and learn what the audience wants, and I'm going to figure this out. And he did. So I would say if you don't have a budget, you're either spending money to avoid spending time, or you need to put your time into it and actually like learn the craft.
Right now, do you feel like it is one of the hardest times to grow on TikTok? / with the changing landscape? Because I feel like we've felt like Reels has been, you know, Instagram, Zuck's over here and he's like, let's make the Reels do well.
Also, when you were here last time, a year ago, TikTok was like
popping, man.
Popping.
Mm-hmm. Everything you posted, we would get. I mean, every single Reel or TikTok that we would post, easily above 10 to 15, 20,000. And now I feel like if we go to Instagram, most of the time, the thing that does really well on Reels or does really well on TikTok, most of the time it'll cross over. It won't be at the same percentage though. Like we had a Reel hit 100K two days ago. On TikTok, it's at 5,000. Insane ratio though. Like it has like 5,000 views, almost 1,000 likes. But they're not pushing it like they were, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering just kind of what you see on the app. And I know there always becomes that time with every single app where the advertisers now are outweighing the people, and there's too many people producing content and not enough people consuming it, right? Mm-hmm. Where we have a shit ton of people that are making stuff. And back a year ago, I feel like that was flipped, where there wasn't enough people making stuff, and so they're like, yeah, we gotta like we're gonna push this out even more. Mm-hmm. What do you feel like you see on the apps on vertical video that is doing well?
Exactly that. And I was here a year ago or 2 years ago?
Was it 2 years?
I think it was like more than a year. I think it was a year and a half.
Year and a half,
yeah,
probably.
A little bit longer than a year. When I was here, a lot of people were consuming very heavily on TikTok. It was like, that's where we were spending most of our time, even more than Reels.
You also made a whole course on like specifically TikTok.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. TikTok was it was where everybody's attention was. Like from 2020 to 2022, it was like that was where we were spending time. I think Reels coming out and like making a push into like TikTokifying their platform, I think out of habit, a lot of people ended up going back to Instagram and just staying on Instagram, which is what I think most people are doing right now. And I think that at that point, a lot of people have just not felt the urge to go back on TikTok. For me, I would say the reason why I consume less on TikTok right now is the familiarity of seeing people. On Instagram, you see some people that you have chosen to follow. On TikTok, I don't see anybody that I've chosen to follow unless I'm dedicating time to like the following or friends tab. But the relationships that I have built, that I have like created on TikTok, I feel like it's just very hard to manage them because you don't see the same people, and there's people that I don't see for 7 months, and then I see one video and then I don't see them again for 7 months. Whereas on Instagram, I think it's a little bit more. I still don't think it's great, but I think it's a little bit more. So I would say that the consumption is also like Instagram stories. So in my opinion, it's just that you can get a similar experience on Instagram Reels that's pulled people away from TikTok. That mixed with, we're now outside, we're all hanging out in person again. Attention on a phone has just significantly dropped compared to what it was 2 years ago. So I think that's the reason why it's just like people it's harder to consume the same way on TikTok. To grow, to me, I think it's a supply and demand thing. The barrier to entry, and I'm a proponent of this. I was telling everybody, like, make on your iPhone, start today, it's free. I think when there is so much more people creating, plus with all the things I was just saying, people are consuming less. I just think it's harder. It's harder to get attention. It's harder to grow. People aren't following people the same way that they were before because they know they're not going to see their shit. So I look at engagement as being a heavier metric. I always looked at engagement as like, this is more important than the amount of followers. If you have 100,000 but you're not getting any engagement,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
So I've always looked at engagement as important. I think it's even more heavier weighted. I still do think that followers are important though, because all it takes is Instagram or TikTok or one of these to make a little bit of a shift or to innovate in one way that now they have a dedicated thing that's showing just your followers. And like, so I do think that followers are still important, but I would much rather have heavier engagement than like see my following growing without engagement.
You're so right. And I think that's when you go on a creator's page, right? And like you're saying, if they have 50, 100, 200, and then the posts are getting nothing, you're like, what's going on here? Why are people not engaging with this stuff? What do you feel like for creators that maybe have seen a big dip and they're not getting that same engagement as they were? What can they do to maybe not just go right back to regular speed, but how can they get back to a place that they once were? Or is it just a consistency factor that you feel like most people aren't creating as often as they were?
I think I have two answers to this. The first answer to kind of like revamp your account. Answer number one is always try new things. Try new things at a very high volume. Most people, when they try new things, they try one or two of them and then stop.
And they do it for like a week.
Exactly. I think it's try new things at a high enough volume to like really give yourself a real test. That's option number one. And a lot of people, dude, this is going to happen to everybody. Everybody that has an idea, a series, something that's working, that's like really doing well, at some point it will take a dip. It's just inevitable. Think about every single show that you've ever watched. There's no show that you've watched forever for the history of your life and always been entertained. Maybe there's some that you're like, you go through periods and waves and like, I want to shift out of watch this a little bit more, watch this a little bit more. I love Modern Family. It's like my favorite show ever. I would watch that shit all the time. Even me with that, I'm like, there's sometimes where I'm just not feeling it as much. Still a great show, love it so much, but I would rather watch something else. Same way with creators. You might have the best show in the world. You might be Casey Neistat, whoever it is. Your shit is going to go through a challenge at some point. Most people are not willing to go back to the drawing board and test new things, whether that's ego, insecurity, worry, brand deals, monetization, whatever it is. Most people are not willing to go back to the drawing board. I really believe that you should always be testing and having a certain percentage of your content that is just like, we got to fuck around and try new shit. Because if we keep doing that, when this takes a dip, cool, we're willing to jump in and try something else.
You do a really good job at that. And I think I made a video a minute ago and I was like, people are just afraid to be beginners again. Like you get a little taste of success, your stuff is popping really well. And I think you've done an awesome job of that on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube now. I've noticed that over these last 3 weeks, you've posted almost 18 videos, I think, which is sick, dude. And I noticed that I feel like the barrier to entry from the videos that you posted over a year ago, you've lowered that barrier to entry, and you're like, I'm just going to post these and get these out and kind of see and test and learn. What do you feel like you're trying to put a lot of your attention to right now on your personal brand side of things?
YouTube and Instagram are where I'm putting a lot of attention. TikTok, I feel like TikTok, I feel like is just less of an interest for me right now, just in terms of where I feel like my consumers are, or my clients are.
So are you not just posting what you're posting on Instagram on TikTok?
I am, but very lightly. Like, it's me doing all of this. So I'm like, I'll do it on days that I have time, but it's not like a urgency thing where I'm like, I need to be posting on TikTok every day.
How often are you posting on Instagram?
Right now, so just what you were just saying of like trying new things, Instagram for me has been something that I feel like I haven't fully cracked on my personal. Other people, creators, or other brands, creators, friends, feel like I can help them very well. For me, I haven't cracked it completely yet to where I'm like, oh, this is like really hitting. It was for a minute about a year ago with the storytelling stuff. But in terms of like the production of them, it just got to be a little bit too hard for me to do those every day. And I want to be posting more. So I was like, I got to find a different way. So right now on Instagram, I'm going through that exact process of being a beginner, trying a bunch of different shit, trying speaking stuff, trying what I would consider more like trend stuff, where there's like a clip of me and then some text over, or like even screenshots, trying some green screen stuff. I'm just trying stuff. And the cadence for me right now that I'm trying to hit on Instagram is posting twice a day. Because the way I look at it is like, anytime that you go on a platform and you're trying to break through, I look at what most people are doing that are having success, and I try and double it, the output. Just because I feel like it's a learning tool for me. If I see if I get learnings quicker, the more that I do it. And by the time that I've posted what the normal person, by the time I've doubled what the normal person is posting in a week, I feel like I'm just learning things at a faster rate, that I can iterate on things quicker. And when something hits, then I'm like, okay, now I'm really moving. And I feel like the algorithms, when they get sense of something that somebody wants to watch, if there's a lot of output of it, they like really start showing it. This is what happened to me on TikTok. So I feel like when I want to just learn. So as much as I physically can film and post, I'm going to do that. Then when something actually hits, if I can keep up that same speed, I feel like it's going to really start to hit.
I think so too.
I'm laughing because you're kind of like, your mindset is like a creator Kobe Bryant. I remember, I swear to God, there's an interview clip of Kobe.
Give me that clip. Come on, give me that clip.
There's a clip of Kobe being like, all right, so normally, this guy's gonna go work out from like 9 to 11. Okay, you're gonna eat some lunch, and then you're gonna do your recovery, and then you're gonna get another workout in from like 6 to 8. Well, what if my mindset is like, I'm gonna wake up at 3 a.m. and then I'm gonna work out from like 4 to 7, and then like I get 3 days in, and I'm like working out fucking twice as much as the competitors. So of course I'm gonna be better.
Remember the Team USA video where they're like all coming back from the bars, and he's like, wait, they're like, yo, Kobe, where are you going? He goes, to the gym.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, you psychopath.
Honored. Honored,
let's
bro.
go. That's awesome.
I feel like in terms of just understanding how algorithms work and platforms work, I'm like, the platform's never gonna deprioritize you if you're putting out things people want to watch.
Yeah.
So why not try to get to that point as quick as possible?
I think you're right, and it's at bats at the end of the day, right? And if you do one at bat a week, that's 4 a month, and it's something we've been trying to mess around with on our podcast YouTube. We've recently brought on a new person. He's been awesome, and he's taking our big pod and making it 4 to 10 minute long clips. And our hope for that is to say, hey, try us out, like give us a little test run, and hopefully you like us and you'll hang out with us for an hour, and try to get a couple new people from those short clips. But it's at bats. Like, we post 4 pods a month. It's very hard to do a podcast, as you're finding out too on YouTube. Like, it's not easy to do a 30-minute long produced YouTube video. Much easier to do, like you've done a great batch of them, and they're less produced, great information, great value. If people like them, they're going to keep fucking coming back, know? And I think that's just super interesting right now.
The production thing is a thing that I think is not natural to me. Like, I've tried to do big production stuff. I had a team before that was helping me with stuff, and I think that for me, speed, because I like speed so much, I really am like, how can I figure out a way to be able to do this faster? Because the lower production stuff is way more natural to me. Like, you guys see me, I'm vlogging on an iPhone. The higher production stuff for some people is more natural. So I just say, like, whatever feels like it's the most natural to you, pick that and try to make that work, because that's where you're going to get to speed. I was with a couple people that are cinematographers in Austin last week, and they were like, dude, I'm way more natural on a DSLR. I would move 10 times faster filming and being able to set up like lighting and all that, and it'll feel more natural and more easy for me than me trying to learn an iPhone right now. So I'm like, I'm agnostic to like what's the hardware that you're using. I just am like, I think most people get caught up in the way that it needs to, in like what's working for like the world, rather than like what's natural to you. Find the way for that to work. You'll be able to move with speed.
On YouTube, you hear all of the gurus talking about how important like title and thumbnail are. Your thumbnails is just like,
hey, handsome devil, you know. Okay, don't forget that.
But it's just like, it's like a screenshot of you mid talking.
Yeah.
Is that just a speed thing of like, I don't want to hop in Photoshop and make a thumbnail, and you're just more so caring about the output, and like I'll get a good title, and if you're really interested, you'll click?
I think so. I think it's like, yeah, dude, I'm good at, like, I could go and do graphics. I understand graphic design. I've been a graphic designer before. I can go and make thumbnails. I've even tried it. I have like a friend of mine, Daniel Dolan, is like doing these POV like words in the background where he's like cut out in front of it, and like I could go and do those things. I think for me it's just like the speed that I'm able to move with right now of just like getting things out there by sitting and trying to hack the thumbnail and the title, or even like it's the same thing as in the actual video of like me trying to add in cool transitions or music. I think it just like slows down my speed of like me being able to put shit out. So the way that I look at it is like, fuck man, if I can get people to watch with this low of production, like if I do get that, and then I either have a team that can help that like, and then I'm like, cool, let me actually add in people that can make this like more polished, or it just becomes the way that people recognize my content and they're like, yo, his shit's, this is the way it is. Then I'm like, no one's going to be able to move the way that I'm going to be able to move. If I can get the same amount of views on my video and traction on my video that's shot on an iPhone and took me 25 minutes to film the whole thing and be done and post it, the same traction that somebody gets that's been filming for a week, has a studio, has cinema, all of that, to me, I'm like, dude, this business is going to be absurd because of the amount that I'm going to be able to do.
It's like
that's my goal.
It's like Sam Sulek.
Yeah.
It's the exact person. When I saw his stuff, my buddy Reed, big manager, showed me Sam Sulek, was like, look at what this dude's doing. He's kind of changing the YouTube wave right now. He's putting out like 40-minute videos. He does zero editing. All he does, he brings his tripod around and just clicks record, and that's it. When I saw one of his videos, it gave me the permission to do this and see that there's success. Because I've been saying this a lot because I heard somebody say it. Yvonne Chouinard, who's the founder of Patagonia, says, I'm not an inventor, I'm an innovator. And I feel very similar to that, where I'm like, I'm not the person to start something and be like the first in the world ever and be like, I'm the only person that had this idea. I'm a pioneer on this. But I do feel like I'm the second. I do feel like I'm the person that like sees something and goes, oh, intuitively, I know that this is going to work and this is going to click. So now I'm going to go all in on this. When I saw Sam Sulek, I was like, okay, people are watching this. There's a moment right now where I feel like the fast-paced shit, people are a little tired of.
Deader than a doornail right now.
So let me like go all in on what actually feels the most natural to me and go all in on this lower, slower, and just like more intentional kind of content. So that's the way I feel about it.
And I mean, dude, people could watch. I was watching your YouTube videos last night. People can watch them. I could do my laundry. I could clean my house, and I'm listening and getting valuable information. And we did a pod last week about Alex Hormozi's tips, and he's like, I've gained 6.8 million or 7 million followers, whatever. And he's like, just gives so much good value that you're like, I'm gonna watch this guy. I don't give a fuck if he's like flashing text and whatnot. And that's why we say like you should be diving into YouTube and podcasts, or like thinking about your longest form thing first, because that is how creator brands are going to be built, off of long form stuff. And on TikTok, right, it's a great way to get a good amount of people to see you. Transition them to something longer form so they get a deeper connection with you, and then you can talk more. And it's a really good thing to have something like a YouTube or a podcast that's over 5 minutes long, where they can get to know you a little bit more, get to know the things that you're about. And there's such a deeper connection than you can ever have in 30 seconds or 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. I actually think you're doing a good job of not having an overly edited thumbnail, because I almost feel like someone might expect something different. Mm-hmm. If it's a really well designed thumbnail and they click your video and it's just a 20-minute long iPhone video, it doesn't really match the brand. Mm-hmm. Like, you kind of not caring about the thumbnail matches the production level because you're just ripping like very little edited iPhone videos.
And
like that makes more sense to me.
Okay, here's the other thing. I feel like there's this entrepreneurial wave of YouTube right now that's like longer form, behind the scenes, very cinematic. Every one of those videos, and I love these people. Like I think Marcus Milioni is incredible. The Represent guys, I think they do a great job.
That was the first two people that came to mind.
Yeah, and I can keep it because there's not a ton of people doing it, but like the people that are doing it are getting recognition. Every one of those videos is like a movie.
Yeah.
Every one of their videos is like you sit down, it's like you're watching a movie. You're sitting down to watch something that's cinematic, that's produced, that you're following along a journey. I don't want that. That's not what I want. I want people to be like, I want to listen to this dude every single day, and it's not going to feel like this huge like moment for me. It's going to be like just little bits of like things that I can take away, and little bits of knowing this person more, and things that I can watch when I'm traveling, in the background, when I'm doing laundry, when I'm walking, when I'm hanging with people, because I feel like people will get to know me more rather than it be like this whole production thing. Because for me, the way that I feel, if I was producing this whole thing with a set and a videographer in different angles, I feel like you don't know me on the level that I want you to know me. You know me with this big production. I want people to literally, this is why I do no editing. I want people to actually be able to see me on the streets, and when they see me, they're like, I fucking know this dude, because that's how that my content feels. That's just the way that I feel about it. It's a completely different style, but that's why I feel like there's room for it.
I think this shift is big right now. Even the biggest creators that were quick, like Mr. Beast, you know, and a lot of the guys that copy his videos have slowed down, and they're focusing more on storytelling and trying to drive characters into their content. And I think that we're at a time where people are over the quickness of what, like the retention editing of, it's like every 10th of a second there's a cut and there's something and there's a flash. It's like you want to just sit down and actually know what you're watching and have substance to it.
How do you guys feel with short form? Because there's a way that's been a huge thing as well, like retention and editing, and everybody's gotten really good at graphics and pop-ups and animation. How do you guys feel with those style of things?
I always hated the retention editing. It's very similar to when you're making a video, like a horizontal video, right? Normally, all the effects, the more effects you have, you're trying to hide shitty cinematography and bad story. Like all the effects take away from it.
Yeah.
If you're
That's so interesting.
It's to hide it.
That's
you know?
so interesting.
It's to hide their bad cuts and their bad shots.
If you're actually a great cinematographer and storyteller, you should let your shots breathe and let the story tell itself. Like, you don't need all the effects. You take someone like a Casey Neistat, like his videos never had crazy editing. It was like all about the story. And that always, I feel like, spoke to me more than like this fast paced editing. Sometimes it's fun to watch, but like, I don't know, I prefer the slower stuff.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Lon Ray's heading out. What's up?
How are we doing, brother? Lon Ray. Nice to meet you, brother.
What's up, baby? All right, sees.
You going back to Will's house?
Have fun. Lon Ray's been doing stuff with Will Smith this
That's
week.
awesome. That's so cool.
He told me, he's like, dude, you know Will? I'm like, shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here.
You ever heard of Will?
Yeah, you know Will Smith.
You, for a really long time, have been doing brand deals, and you've been able to navigate that. You were telling us how that is a good majority of your business. In an ideal world, it's like 30%. For someone who wants to get into doing brand deals and navigating that and start making money through making content for brands, but they haven't yet, but they feel like they are good at creating content, what is something they can do to start doing brand deals and working with brands and monetizing themselves as a creator?
Is it somebody that has an audience ready?
They make stuff consistently. They got.
Well, let me ask you this: how much does it matter if they have following?
The brand is paying you for. Here's the things that brands are like going to pay you for. One is going to be your audience, like your content getting shown to your audience with their products in it. The second thing is actual conversions, meaning like, if you post it, they want people to actually buy the product, not just see it. Go through a link in your bio or a link in your story and buy it. The last thing that they're paying you for is the actual content itself. So if you don't have the audience to sell to the brand, and you're brand new, but you have great looking content and it just hasn't hit yet, then you can still try and go to brands and be like, I'll make videos for you. That's kind of like what I think of like an intro level UGC kind of creator. The way that I would do that is I would go and I would make a ton of content with a brand that's in your pantry or in your closet or in your bathroom. I would go and make content with that brand. And then I would send them those videos in Instagram DM and be like, I just made these videos. Do you like them? If you like them, I have an interest. I would love to like figure out a way to work together on more of these. I can make 10 of these for, you know, whatever price point you want to sell it for. That's the way I would go about it, because every brand that is paying for content has a social media manager that is looking through their DMs. So that's the way I would go about it if you have literally zero audience. And I think that there's a real room for that still.
When you say audience, what is a number? Like, would you say like 10,000?
Yeah, I would say like if you have 10,000 people, even more so than like the number, I would say like it's a mix of the number of people following you mixed with the engagement. Because again, back to that same thing, 10,000 people, no engagement, you're not getting anything. 10,000 people with 20 comments, and the comments are like, where'd you get this? Tell me more about this. Really interesting. This video helped me. That's like the first thing that we go and look for. It's called brands. It's called brand sentiment or comment sentiment. So like when you look in the section, it's like, what's the sentiment of all of these comments? Is it positive? Are they like really interested? Are they engaged? Like, or is it just like an emoji that's like a fire emoji? And like, I look in the comment sections to see like, are people really engaged? That to me is like, okay, they have a community that's listening to them.
I also think it comes down to, is it the right fit? Like, what brands do you want to work with? Is your content aligning with that? If you're in the fitness industry, but maybe you're not making content around like clothing, you should reach out to more like gym-centric brands than clothing brands.
For sure. I mean, yes, that's a no-brainer. I think you should look at the style of content that you're making, be like, who would this be beneficial for?
Mm-hmm. Do you find that creators do you find that brands want to work more on a one-off level, or are you always trying, if they hit you once, say, hey, let's do this for like a few months? So let's try to get a little bit of...
Most brands that don't have like a very serious understanding of influencer and like a team around it will probably be trying to do one-offs with micro and smaller creators that they can pay very minimal and try to like just get content.
I hate
because most of them don't understand. Most companies don't understand the value of like a longer term partnership and like what you're getting out of like being affiliated with a creator and the creator's audience getting to know you more and more. So that plus most people that are negotiating on the brand side have to prove some sort of ROI to their upper management or upper team. So I think that can be hard to just be like, yo, I only do long-term deals, because even though they might love you, they might be like, dude, I literally don't have more budget than this. I can't give you a longer-term deal. I can't guarantee anything, but I can guarantee one post. And so I think that for me as a creator, I'll tell you the way I go about it. I rarely do deals if it's one-off. I rarely will say yes to a deal unless it's a brand that I already love, I'm already using. It's super seamless and it just like makes sense for me to talk about it. Just because the way that I feel about it is if you do one-off deals and it's not aligned and it's just like make a quick buck, you ruin your trust with your audience, and that's the biggest thing that you want. The more that your audience trusts you, the more you're going to make money. The more long term. The more they trust you, the more you're going to make money long term. The less they trust you, the less of a business you have as a creator. So you're always trying to build trust with your audience. And I think we've all seen people that you're like, dude, this guy does a brand deal or this girl does a brand deal every week. And I've never seen them talk about this before. You know, the more that you do that, I think the more you just crush your relationship with your community. So I would say if you can, try to work with brands longer term. If not, and you need to work with brands in more of a one-off capacity, see if you can structure it to a way to where it's not being shown to your audience, where it's on the brand's page, so you're not ruining that credibility with your own audience.
Do you feel like creators need to begin to think about how they can take this power back and either make some sort of educational software or make some sort of merchandise or make a physical product or other digital products to actually sustain and have a monthly income that isn't tied to these brand deals that are volatile and are coming?
Getting a job. Getting a job. I'm being serious. The stress that you put yourself under when you are like, it has to work for me as a creator. This is why people do brand deals one-off. They're like, I need to pay for life. That I think puts you in a really tough spot, because what you actually want is to be able to have a genuine non-transactional relationship with your audience. That's really hard to do when you're in survival. So what I think most creators should do if they are in that place, they're like, dude, it's just not feasible for me to do this creator thing and that's it. Go and find a part-time thing. That can be, ideally, it's something in the same industry. Like this is why I'm so excited about CreatorX. What we're doing is go and get a part-time thing with a company doing something that's different than you with your personal brand, doesn't involve your audience, and just allows that to be purely relational, purely like you and your audience building a relation with one another. Go and find something else that's part-time that adds to your skill set. That could be going and joining an agency and like helping out on set. That could be going and working with a company creating. That could be literally doing something completely left field that isn't actually helping your skill set, but allows you to like check out and not need to put more pressure on it. Find something that allows it to be stable, because the way that your audience and you will build the best relationship is by it not being transactional.
Mm-hmm. And I think you're totally right. And when you go in with this company, it allows you to take a breath and know that like it's a retainer, but you're getting paid consistently. Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, I have this $3 or $4 grand coming in every month, and then they can really focus on their own content.
I want to say one more thing, and I also think that what I'm seeing more and more is I actually think that the jobs that people are going and doing on the side are actually really helping them with their content. I'm seeing a lot of people that are like very creative, making really good content, that are going to an agency and working in like a creative direction role, and or going and working for a company and consulting on the content or helping out with content or helping out with influencer. And the knowledge that they're learning by doing that side job is actually helping them make better content with their audience. So I think that that's a great play. And that might not even be something that you have to do part-time for like a couple of months. You might realize that you actually love it and it's not draining your energy and it's actually fueling your content. And now you have like, now you're building like a real business because you're doing something that's stable and you're going to end up being able to monetize your audience quicker. I think it's something to look at.
I want to get into the nitty-gritty and the numbers of brand deals. I know it's very like so across the board of what a creator can charge, but let's say there's a creator with, let's take 10,000 followers, we can take 50,000 followers, and then let's take like 250,000 followers. A brand comes to them.
How engaged about all three of those? That's important. Remember we talked about that.
Let's say they have good engagement. Like it's
like a 10 percentile.
Sure.
Okay.
Like they're getting good engagement. It's a good product fit. It's worth it for, you know, the brand to do a brand deal with this creator. Can you give us a ballpark? I know it might be hard, but let's say Leisure wanted to sponsor a creator. How much would you say like a creator with 10,000 followers on Instagram versus 50 versus 250 could be or should be charging for like one reel?
And they're all in health and wellness.
Yeah, okay, there's one more nuance. The one nuance that I would say is how dense is the audience in the category that they're in. For example, if you're a brand that is like we talked to this brand the other day that's like breast milk or like formula for moms. If you're a brand like that has a very super specific category where there might not be a lot of creators, somebody that has 10,000 people that with good engagement in that demographic of like moms who have struggled with like some sort of thing that they can't do it, that audience is going to be worth way more than somebody that is 10,000 that is doing like a try on haul for like Zara. Sure. So I would say, how specific and dense is your audience? Because you could charge way more if you're like, okay, my 10,000 is like a bullet versus like, you know, a pillow. Mm-hmm. So that's something I would think about. Beyond that, let's just say we're talking like very general. 10,000, what's the deliverables? Like what's the like
let's just package? Say it's one Instagram reel and 3 stories. And again, I know it's hard. I would just love to give the audience some sort of like ballpark of what creators could be making if they had 10,000 followers.
Probably 500 to $1,000.
Yeah.
Something like that. What's the next one?
50,000. Couple thousand,
3,000 bucks.
And our 220K one.
Wait, what's that one?
220, 250,
220,000
quarter mil
followers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hyper
15,000.
Yeah, hyper engaged.
15,000, wow. 20,000. 15. Yeah, I'd say probably 12 to 15 grand.
And then if it's hyper engaged, it's like could go up to like 20.
Yeah, but dude, this is where it's so nuanced, because like somebody that has 225 that is hyper engaged, but like everybody knows like they are a leader in that industry,
Yeah.
versus somebody that's 225 that is hyper engaged but doesn't really have like the cultural like growth. Somebody that's 225 that's super engaged could charge 25,000 for a reel and get it. Whereas I think it's like you're also like you're looking at your category and being like, how much of my own personal brand is non-measurable, like not quantifiable in these numbers. Because I think you guys all know in the videography world, there's people that probably have 15,000 followers, but you guys are like, that person's a fucking heavy hitter.
Yeah.
They might not have it in those numbers, but everybody in the videography world knows this dude. There's probably people that come to mind. That is the same thing in every industry where there's like, there's people that are like really beasts that brands will pay even higher because the offline recognition is so much higher. It's as equal to the online recognition. So I just think it's more nuanced. What I would say if you are a creator and you're in any of those numbers, I would like really ask myself, like, how do I feel like I measure up in my industry? Do I feel like the brand that I hold, the things that people come to me for, is like, am I a leader in this? Because if you are, then I would like push the numbers and just see what brands will pay. Brand can say no. You can always go lower and be like, you know what, actually, some like slots have freed up in my partnerships, and I actually can cut that 40%.
Can cut that 90%. Actually, no, I'm just looking at my bank account.
Yeah, we can do
$20.
No, we can do product in exchange for content. Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll give it a shot.
I actually will say on the other end of that, like if you are in a place where you're like, I do need this like transactionally, I think I would start lower and like absolutely crush it, and then work your way up. Start low, pick a number, absolutely crush it, go to the next one, be like, I actually think that I would want to do this for a little bit higher, crush it, move up.
I think it's great advice and something that you guys should all take, because we want you to all get paid, man. We want you guys to make money with this stuff and begin to become a full-time creator. Like, that's the whole point of this show.
I will say though, I am so thankful that, because I've done brand deals and I do brand deals, I'm so thankful that it's not 100% of like what I'm relying on for my income, because I do have months where I'm doing 3 to 5 brand deals. I have other months where I don't do any, and like it can be really stressful if you're just relying on or waiting for that next email to come. Like I'm so thankful that we get to do this like photography, videography thing, and I almost feel like I look at the brand deals as like a cherry on top. If I get one, incredible, but it's not what I'm using to fund my life. That's the way.
And even if you are making enough to live off of it, if you are anybody that is trying to build a business, just the sustainability of like, or the forecasting of like, how is my business going to be doing in 6 months? It's just hard to predict.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have an agency and you have clients and you like kind of have some sort of real structure that you're more in control of, there's just a way easier way to like build business. Same with if you have a job on the side. So I just think for a lot of people's sanity, it's smart to do.
Yeah, completely. Right now, okay, last time we spoke to you, you had, I believe, 3 to 4 employees. And now we have Damien. Damien's an absolute
Shout
dog.
out.
Shout out to Damien, absolute beast in the kitchen. Tell us how it's been downsizing your team, bringing on Damien. What has been the changes that you've noticed, and how does he play into the team at CreatorX?
So I had 5, including myself. And I think once we were doing some different services, so we were doing some strategy, we were doing recruiting. The recruiting was requiring more time and energy, so we had a couple more people. And one of the people that was on my team was very heavily doing sales, was like getting on calls with people and like jumping on it. And the reason why I hired people was I was moving more into just doing content and going out and being like more public facing and like less involved with the services. Which I actually enjoyed, and I absolutely loved my team, and like they were all like family. Our culture was incredible. I probably was telling you guys, I think I told you on the last podcast, I'm trying to build the fucking Avengers of people that are really legit at what they do, and everybody was super legit at what they did. I got to a point where it was like, I actually feel like I want to be more involved in the mix of things and not just be like out front facing. And the services shifted a little bit to where we stopped doing a little bit of strategy, and the sales process of our recruiting didn't need the same amount of like calls. So it just kind of shifted to where it was like, oh, these jobs are changing to where they're not needed in the same way. and it doesn't make sense for me to keep them. So it wasn't like it wasn't a negative thing. No, there was no like performance things that weren't working. It just was like, it's not needed anymore. I had Damien. I was like, I still want somebody to be with me and like be doing kind of like a chief of stuff. He's kind of like doing a mix of everything. And so I have him, and then the people that were on my team, I still work with occasionally. It's just more contractor. Whereas before it was like everybody was full-time in the office every day, employees. Now it's like we kind of use different people here and there with what we need. And I've liked it more because I have noticed that as a creator, I like flexibility in my day. I like being able to do something one day and then not do it the next. I like being able to be completely in control of my schedule. What I also would say that I learned is the mental capacity of overseeing 5 people versus being the person doing. Like I became like more of a manager. I didn't like that as much. And then the next way that I will do it, where if I'm actually trying to like build a bigger team, will be to bring somebody on that actually loves managing people and like is a pure operator that is super experienced at it, because I feel like I'm really good at it. And I feel like all of our team would be like, yo, it was awesome and we were crushing it. But I want to be more in the mindset of like, I don't want to think about anybody else. I want to think about the culture, and I loved the culture and like thinking about how are you doing today and like where are you at with like family and all of that. Loved it. But thinking about and managing project timelines, thinking about and managing like getting back to people, that to me was not enjoyable. And like the more people you have and the more people you're managing, it just multiplies. So it just was like, okay, I have a good learning. This is a great place for me to like actually switch this up a little bit. I think now the next way I'll do it will be there are people that absolutely love managing people. There are people that absolutely love being in spreadsheets and managing and like overseeing project deadlines and all of that. I just know that that's not the way that I want to run a business for me. So I shifted, and I'm actually super stoked on it.
I want to ask about fitness a little bit, because you're talking about having flexibility in your day. What does your morning routine look like? Are you running like our good buddy Braden over here? Cold plunging, sauna. What's it? I mean, you're
not a runner.
You're an athlete,
he's
baby.
Got a sauna. He's got the
are you,
cold.
like, are you sketch boy hours? Braden's trying to transition to that 6 a.m. lifestyle.
I'm trying to transition.
To what? What do you got now?
I want to go early. I stay up late right now.
6 is not that. I thought you're later than 6 now.
You don't think 6 a.m. is early?
He doesn't wake up. He wants to get to working out at 6.
Yes, I want to be like at the gym at like 7 a.m.
I'm working out these days at 8 a.m. I used to be like a noon, but I switched.
Do you guys stay up really late?
Like I go to bed at midnight.
Yeah,
11:30, 12.
I mean, my routine. So again, this is where the like team and all of that. Actually, I don't want to say that when I had 5 people, it was like I had this rigid, like I now have to be here at this time. I think it was more of just like the mental capacity of being like, where are we at with this and how's this? Rather than when I'm the person doing it and I'm the person talking to the brand, it's less of like a middleman kind of thing. And I like being able to like be in communication with the people that we're working with. In terms of my routine, I wake up pretty consistently at like 6. Like I would say my fiance wakes up even earlier than me. I would say I wake up pretty consistently around 6. Sometimes I work out in the morning. Sometimes I work out at night. I actually am going through a period right now where I'm only trying to work out like 15 to 20 minutes. I don't like working out long.
Me neither.
I'm over working out long right now. I have a personal trainer. I had him for the last 2 years. We train. It's like an hour and 15 minutes. On my own time outside of that as well, when I'm working out, I typically am working out like an hour and 15 minutes. And I just feel like right now I'm not really enjoying it. And I only want to be working out if I'm enjoying it, because I don't feel like I get better when I'm not the kind of person that I'm like, you hate this, but like, you got to keep doing it. That's just not me. I'm like, yo, if I'm actually genuinely not enjoying this, it's not going to benefit me.
You should run if you don't want to do something.
I cannot stand running.
I'm taking back my Kobe Bryant comparison, dude. Kobe would never.
This guy's Joker, dude.
Let me explain though. Okay. If there's something that I don't have the energy for, but I know it's right for me, always will do it. If there's something that I check in with myself and I'm like, okay, this actually is not benefiting me, done with it. That's how I feel with longer workouts. I don't feel like they're benefiting me. So I hope you can still consider me as the Kobe of content.
But cold plunge?
Cold plunge, yes.
You guys revamped your backyard.
Yeah, so I came from personal training. My background after I got done with playing hockey was I started personal training. I started filming all my workouts. That was how I started becoming a creator. We turned our garage, 2-car garage, we turned it into like a home gym so that we didn't have to go anywhere. There was no gyms that I really loved in LA. There also was not people filming in gyms in 2018. So like us going and trying to film in one was very odd. So we were like, we got to do this at home. So we turned our garage into a gym. Then I started doing cold plunges. First, it was just with literally a fridge. I bought a fridge off of Craigslist and filled it with water. You can seal the sides and like plug it in and it'll freeze. So I did that, got really into cold plunging. And then I ended up like seeing the real cold plunges that everybody sees now and has now that are incredible, getting one of those. And I had an infrared sauna and they were coming out with a sauna. And so I was like, look, I want to get one of these saunas. And they were like, we would love for you to test one of them. So I bought one of those saunas that's in our backyard now. All in all, the backyard, we probably spent $20,000 on all of it. So worth it because I don't go to a gym. I host people. I use it. I use both of them probably 4 days a week. It's a great, like, it's such a critical part of like me just living. And yeah, now I have people over to like work out and sauna and all that.
How do you like the tonal?
Best piece of equipment that I have in my gym.
So LeBron's not making that up. He really he likes that thing.
Not even a little.
I always see him on the ads when you're walking at Century City. It's just LeBron just like doing.
Do they still have the shop there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Cool.
upstairs.
It's we had a squat rack before and we had a ton of different like free weights and we still have dumbbells, but like we had like, you know, just a ton more of equipment in our gym. Then I worked with tonal and got a tonal and I actually wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. Got it. And within the first week I was like, this is fucking unbelievable. It is. We got rid of our squat rack. We got rid of all the other weights. It's compact. It's like, dude, it's amazing to use. So I've used it now it's probably been like 4 years. I use it every single day when I'm in the gym. I probably got like 10 to 15 different of my friends to go and get a tonal when they're building out their home gym.
What can you do with a tonal for those that don't know?
So it's a cable machine.
Okay.
But it also comes with a bar. So like anything that you can do on a barbell, anything that you can do on a bar, yeah, like squats, deadlift, like everything.
Can you
literally?
bench?
Yeah, you can bench press.
Oh wow.
Everything because the cables have arms on them that you can move any angle. So like you can do cable pulls, you can do bench press, you can do squats, you can do all of it. It's amazing.
Wow, interesting.
It's amazing. And that was before they even had, now they have live workouts. They have, so you can follow a trainer, you can work out with friends, like you can join the same workout and like see what other people are doing. So it's a little bit more of like a class thing, kind of like a Peloton. I don't do that stuff that much, but like it's got a lot to offer.
I'm done running for at least a week. I'm going to go lift weights again. It's going to be great.
You know what I think is going to be cool? I think there's a lot of running clubs. That's like a huge thing right now.
Tons.
Running has like had a real, I think that's going to, I have my own theories about running as well.
Tell us.
I just think that it's a moment that people are really interested in. And I think that
TikTok.
Yeah. I just think that, a lot of people that I talk to that are runners don't love it.
No,
they just do it.
I've been running and I've been enjoying it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. I do have people that love it and are like obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
I definitely don't like it.
What I'm saying though, and I do think that there's people that will be runners for life, but I think the cultural like bubble of running has been enormous. Like there's like 1,500 people that are doing Venice Run Club every week.
Unbelievable.
I think that'll shift a little bit and it'll kind of taper off.
Hey,
what I think there's not enough of though, people aren't walking enough. I think a lot of people that are running right now, if they went out and walked more, they would get just as good of benefits, probably better, because I think it's active, you're outside, it's still community. And I think like some people are pushing themselves too hard and are like going too intense, and I don't think they need it. And I think if they were just out there walking, they would get a lot better benefits from it.
Again, I just don't know if Kobe would ever say something like that.
Take it away. Just take it away.
Dude, no, people are going to
replace it with like a...
People are gonna start lifting weights again.
You know,
weights are gonna make a comeback, dude. I'm telling you, people are gonna start getting gym memberships again. The only thing is, man, I'm telling you, okay.
Gyms are big right now.
No, gyms are huge, but I think one of the biggest pet peeves that I did have when I was at 24 was there's 4,000 memberships, dude, that they sell, so you can't actually the home gym thing is going to be, I think, the next big boom. People are going to move out to the valley and stuff, and they're going to get houses. They're going to make home gyms.
Because of what? Because gyms are over capacity?
Way over capacity. The regular gyms, the LA, the 24, those gyms, you can't even go and get a bench press at a regular hour. It's not possible, or a squat rack or anything like that. So
Wow.
I feel like the little mini home gyms or even apartment gyms, I feel like are going to be Tonal in the gym.
Tonal needs to sponsor this podcast.
Yeah, we need them.
For real.
It's unbelievable.
I see a spot for it right now that we could put it up at. Right here. We
back.
could have in the background, and I could just hit a set while we're going.
That could be like a new form of content. It's like Tonal with 505.
Yeah,
We're just giving you content advice while getting a workout in.
JT, if we're gonna end this off right here, if you could go back 1 year ago or 1 year and a half ago and talk to yourself on the pod, because our usual question is 18-year-old self, but I want to go back just a year and a half and talk to yourself. What would you tell him during that time period? Something that would help you on this journey to where you are right now. Piece of advice.
Triple down on content. Go even harder on content. Start YouTube now. Don't worry about quality, even though yes, quality is subjective, and I do think that there's something to say about like it being good enough. Just continue going as hard as you can into content, because everything that is going on in your business has come from that and will continue to come from that. And I feel like I deviated a little with team and all of that, and operations and business growth and all of that stuff. And I feel like getting back to really, really, really being ingrained in the weeds with content. I'm already seeing it, just like the momentum building so much faster.
Real quick.
Tell me.
Touch on momentum. How can people build their own momentum? Because I feel like momentum, like it's a real thing. Like you can feel it. Mm-hmm. Tips for, is it just output? It's like you get one win and you try to get another and you build on that. Because I feel like momentum's like big. I feel like we don't talk about that a lot.
I feel like momentum is consistency with additional interest. So like it's something that's like recurring, but the more that you do it, something is building with the more that you do it. So the first thing is like you have to be doing something consistent. So I think the only way to build momentum is to actually do something that you're going to repeat and do for a longer period of time. For me, the higher production stuff, it was hard for me to build momentum because I was doing it, and this is the way that I felt like with working out too. It's probably why I'm only working out for 20 minutes. When things are beyond a threshold of enjoyment, it's really hard to want to do them again. This is why when I was a personal trainer, or most personal trainers, when you're starting a new client, you don't just throw them into the hardest workout of their life and try and crush their soul. You like ease them into it. You're like building the muscle and doing the reps and like adding a little bit more and adding a little bit more and adding a little bit more, till eventually one day when it's 6 months down the road, you're like, oh fuck, like we're like really moving weight now. But you don't throw that all of them at the beginning, because if you put X amount on a bench press and they fail, they're not coming back to the gym because they didn't enjoy it. It's the same thing that I feel with anything that you're starting, any sort of habit, any sort of routine, content, whatever. It's like, what's the minimum thing that you can do that you will do again, that you can get enjoyment from and also feel good about? Do that and like start building more and more onto that. So that's the way I build momentum. I'm like, how do I do this in the most simplest form? Feel really good after it, celebrate it, and show up the next day and do it again. And then you just build. W's
compound, baby. Take his advice on the little weight in the gym thing. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into episode 109 of the 505 Pod. Please, if you're still here, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and we'll see you guys all next week. Peace.